All right, betting for breakfast, our Wednesday night golf betting show. I'm Mark Drumheller. I'm here with Dave Gleckner and Mike Salmon, and we got a fun weekend ahead of us with the Valero Texas Open. Little pregame warm up right before the Masters, huh, Dave?
Yeah, big one for a lot of people, especially those sitting outside the top 50 or those that aren't in the Masters yet. They only let in, that's a unique field. Mikey knows you only get about 90 that can qualify for that tournament. You got some big names already sitting outside that probably aren't going to get in. I'm talking to you, Ricky. And but this weekend's their last chance. So a lot of guys are playing for that one spot over in Augusta next week. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. A little bit of thinner field, a little bit of competitiveness. But listen, everybody that's hopping on, joining us, make sure you go over to the Heat Ratio YouTube page if you're not watching on there. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. You'll automatically get entered to win a Yingling Aaron Nola Phillies prize pack. So the prize packs are awesome. The great people over at Yingling, very fortunate to be working with them. So, go over there, hit subscribe. We're pulling the winners right from the subscribers. So that is the best way, to get involved with us. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Back to golf. Dave, WGC was a lot of fun, man. Me personally, my pre-flop picks, terrible. Nailed the live betting during the event, during the tournament, went 7-2-1 with live betting picks. Lots of surprises. I really didn't see Horschel coming. I'm not going to lie to you. Even as the tournament started unfolding, I just felt like things went his way.
Well, and how could you, right? The guy never got in the round of 16. He does have the heart of a match play player. He's got that grit, but he just never had success here. And then, like you said, Scotty Scheffler shot one birdie in the last round. Tommy Fleetwood puts on OB in the playoffs. Who else laid it down for him? Brian Harman. Like it just, the list goes on. And good for him. Like he shot even par in his last round and won. He shot even par in the semis and won.
Yeah. Well, that was the big thing, and Mike, I want to get your opinion on this as well. I felt like the best part of the match play was it was almost like a war of attrition. And we talked about that going in, when we were betting on it. It's just like it's really going to come down to who can mentally get themselves through the finish line after all these rounds and rounds of golf. And Mike, is that what you saw? Just kind of like, the golf really kind of tailing off, seeing people wear down, as the tournament went on?
Yeah, I really think it was evident in the play of Matt Kuchar, especially. Older guy, and he was playing well in his morning rounds. And when it came to the afternoon rounds, it seemed like he struggled a little bit. And I just think it was the consistent, how many shots do they take a day? You got your morning round, and then you have something to eat, and then you go back onto the range, and you got to get loose again. And then you come back and you play an afternoon round. This guy's swinging the club, 120, 150 times in a day. Eventually it's going to wear on you. And I think it really hurt Matt. He was playing well in the mornings, and he just couldn't pull it out in the end to get into that final. So, I think that happened with a lot of players. A lot of the guys that were in the final 16, younger players, you saw how they were able to kind of just wait and outplay their opponents just by letting them make mistakes. Dave said it. Horschel, Horschel kind of fell into the win, really. What do you have, one birdie to win?
The par fives, he bogeyed one and pushed the hole after Scheffler went, had to drop one for going in the water. Yeah. But he won, and good for him.
Oh, yeah. So Scheffler kind of handed him the match. Without he wasn't able to make his shots late in the day, and like you said, the war of attrition caught up to him.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was on Scheffler. Even when it got down to the finals, I was on Scheffler at -145. I was trying to sneak a last win in there just because things were going so well at that point. Had Kuchar after the round robin, had him at plus 1,800. Really liked it, especially after he took out Spieth. I had him, on that matchup as well. So I was very excited. I was winning. I was like, Kuchar's rolling. I felt it, and you always feel it until those putts just go a little bit left.
Yeah. And Drums, I was with you. I gave you three group play winners, almost some long-term winners too, with Spieth, Sergio, and Scheffler throughout their groups. It was crazy. One top seed made it out of their group. And that was John Rahm, another one that I was eyed up all week too. So I had 4 guys going in the round of 16. I was feeling good. Had 2 left with 8, 1 left with 4, 1 left with 2. Didn't get the win, but it was a fun weekend. 11-4-2 on the matchups I posted. I know you had that great record you talked about. So overall, a definitely plus winning week. Dollar signs for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the live betting for me made up for the horrible group picks that I had. I mean, Max Homa, I thought he played tough, just couldn't get it done in the end. Had the playoff, right? Bryson didn't show up. DJ didn't show up. Yeah. So, that was kind of, that was, the things didn't go well early the first day, as they went on. But as the tournament went on, I was able to pick some spots and make some money. And that's what it's all about. That's why, like, everybody out there, make sure you're following us on Twitter. That's where you're going to see the live bets. That's where we're going to post them. We'll let you know, hey, as the tournament goes on, we're going to keep betting. We're going to keep firing away, when we see opportunity to take some action and to get some wins. But I love the match play. I love the competitiveness. Mike, I have a question for you. I want to ask, a lot of the talk was this year, obviously a weird year, with the cancellation of events and having to move a lot of stuff around, things not necessarily in the same order, schedule a little different than it typically is. Odd that we saw this type of event right before the Masters, because now you have this kind of growing event, and now we have this weekend, and then we have the Masters, right? And you're seeing a lot of people withdraw from this weekend. We got a thinner field. I love the match play, but I don't know if I love it, this close to the Masters. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, the scheduling was tough for a lot of the players. And I mean, typically the Valero is a little bit of a watered down field. A lot of guys trying to hone their game for Augusta. But like Dave said, there's a lot of guys out there that are trying to play their way in. And for those guys, it's a big tournament. But for the guys coming off the WGC, they're going to have their hands full. I know, the guys like we mentioned before, Kuchar, he's going to have to come out again after a grueling event, and he's got this event now to play in. It is, the schedule's tough, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And if you want to make some money, you got to get in some of these tournaments.
That's right. And if we want to make some money, we got to pick who's going to perform well, right? So let's start to get into that. Let's get into the Valero, the Texas Open. Very interesting course, when I look at it, right? Not a lot of water, long par fives. I think there's 2 par fives over 600 yards, hole 18, 590 yards, right? So some, driving distance is going to come into play. Driving accuracy going to be a little more important. Some par threes in there. It looks like 3, 7, and 16 are all par threes, so you get a little bit of relief. But Dave, what do you think about the course in general, and what type of player do you profile to have success in this type of course?
Yeah, you mentioned some key stats already. This course for me, I mean, a par 72, you always light up your eyes and say, let me look at the par 5 scores. Those guys that can really, take advantage of those 4 par 5s out there. So that's one stat I definitely looked at. We'll get into that. But if you looked in the past winners too, a couple other key ones come out. Like you said, driving distance is big because it's a long course. Last year, or really 2 years ago, because this one got canceled last year, when Corey Connors won, he shot 20 under, but that's because there was no wind. Typically, you're seeing a 10 to 12 under score here, so you're talking 2-3 under a day on average. The cut's been right around even each year of the past 3. So wind really comes into play. This course is hard, even though you saw a 20 under a few years ago. So length is a factor for sure. You don't have to be the furthest guy, but you got to be able to put it out there. The rough's not that bad here. So you don't necessarily have to be striping the fairways too. You can get away with a little left to right, not major, but a little. And another key stat, obviously, and I always look at, is the strokes gained approach. Last 3 years, strokes gained approach, the winner was first, and second in that key stat. I mean, it's one area you got to look at a guy that can hit the greens here, green regulation percentage, and par 5 scoring and driving distance. I put those 4 together. Try to find me a winner.
I tend to agree with you, except for one stat, and that's the driving distance, Dave. And the only reason I say that is a guy like Zach Johnson, who's won this tournament in the past, and he's a guy that. I'm sorry.
It wasn't here though.
No, but
it wasn't at TPC San Antonio.
Correct. Yeah. But he's a guy that hits a lot of greens, and a lot of your other stats that you mentioned. He hits a lot of greens, and he plays well at Augusta as well. And this is his warm up for that. He's one of those guys that hits a lot of your stats, but doesn't really hit the ball long.
I agree, and he was fifth here the last time he played here. So I mean, he has played well here. And you're right about driving distance. It's averaged 17th, 26th, and 4th. The winner has been. You just got to be able to get it out there. Maybe not be the longest. So
yeah, you got to be accurate with that drive too.
Yeah, but greens of regulation. Yep. The winners were first, and third in the last 3 years. So I mean, it's really that accuracy, getting close to the pin. The greens aren't too tantalizing here. Putting drums, we talked about it when we were in the last tournament, and we looked at putting wasn't crucial there either. Not the players. It was where were we? Where Zach and Honda, exactly. Yep. So putting here, 26th, 8th, and 21st of the last 3. So it's about knocking it close. So
interesting course feature too is if there are prevailing winds on this course, the downhill holes all play into the prevailing wind, whereas the uphill holes play with the wind at your back. That's gonna help your driving. So interesting little course feature there.
Yeah, definitely. It's I love it, dude. I love watching these guys shoot through adversity. So the more win, the better to me, man. It just makes a lot of fun. It makes it a lot more exciting. And you can get some live action in there when the wind's whipping. If you get an idea of who's handling it well, you fire up your sportsbook app and you try and take advantage real quick. But let's get into some winners, man. I mean, that's really what we want. We go into this, one key thing that I talked to Mike about a little bit offline. And I've heard a lot of rumblings about is, generally speaking, Dave, overall, obviously there's going to be exceptions to this. Obviously, there might be some people we like that fit this mold, but the match play people, the people that had to play 1,000 rounds, right, that really got towards the end, your Kuchers, your Schefflers, those guys, are they generally fades in this spot right before the Masters? This event kind of sandwiched in.
Yeah, guys that played that many rounds that long into the week, I'm with you. I just can't put my money behind them. I just think they're too unpredictable. Especially Scheffler, especially Kuchar. What up, Al?
Good check. Al Griffin checking in, man. Does great work over there. Half-court heat, lots of great Sixer stuff. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And I know they were breaking the news. They said Embiid will come back by Saturday. Guess what? I just got a flash on my phone from ESPN. Embiid's coming back Saturday. They know their stuff.
Know it.
They know their stuff.
They knew it before. ESPN knew it. I love them. But, yeah, drums. I mean, Scheffler or Cooch, yeah, can't. I just can't. That's too many rounds. Cooch had to play the third-place game on Sunday too, right? And I love, I'm a chef guy. That guy's going to win. He hasn't won yet, but he wants to win here. He's from Texas. So we talked about it last week. It's just not this week. Not with my money.
Boy. So let's get into some winners, right? Let's get into now. I have a couple of outrights. I actually playing a lot this weekend, to be honest with you. A little more than I actually thought going in, but I saw some 3 balls that I kind of liked. I took advantage of, but I have some outrights. We'll start with that, and then we can get into if we got any top 20, top 30 matchups, anything like that. Dave, I'm going to start with you, unless you want me to kick things off. Who are you firing away on to win this thing?
Yeah, my favorite one this week right now is Ryan Palmer. Another guy that, local guy, the guy that's been playing quietly really well. He had Rahm right down to the finish. He was going to win that group. He ended up 2-1, but he was right there with Rahm. They went into the playoff. Rahm had the birdie hole 2, I think it was, to advance. Palmer is really good. And there's a lot of things I like about Palmer. He's played well here. He's had 4 top 10s. He's second of the people in the field, first of the people in the field playing this week in par 5 scoring average. And he's one of the top 10 in strokes gained approach. He's also a guy that is very high in birdie percentage. All those things together, I think the guy can put the numbers this week. He knows how to play in the wind if it does get a little windy. I'm big on Palmer this week. I like Ryan to win it. And I think I got him at 22-1, but hold me to that. I'll get right back.
I'll tell you what, you can get them right now. DraftKings Sportsbook plus 2,500. You can get them plus 550 to make the top 5, plus 250 to make the top 10. So you heard the man right there, Ryan Palmer. This is not the first time I've heard that name, Dave, so I think you're on point with this one. Ryan Palmer getting a lot of love in some of the circles I've been talking to, and I think he's live. I think he can get the job done. Mike, who are you zeroing in on? Who do you think could take this event home as far as the outrights are concerned?
I'm looking at another guy that played last week at the WGC. He played well. He didn't quite make it into the round of 16, but he played well. He went 2-1 in his group. Just didn't make it to the round of 16, and that's Abraham Answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played well in his 3 matches and had a chance, but just fell short. And I think he's a guy that I think he had a playoff and just couldn't beat Streelman in his playoff. So I think Abraham Answer is a guy that I'm looking at as kind of an outsider to put up some good numbers this week and make a charge to win the Open.
Yeah, I love Answer. Answer's a guy I was on in a couple spots, and I think I love the way he plays. I mean, it was surprising to me at match play where I thought he had the group wrapped up, and then all of a sudden he let it get away with Streelman and didn't get in. I was surprised to see that, but definitely very solid pick there with Answer. Yeah, love Answer. Plus 2,000 right now, plus 400 to get in the top 5. You can get Answer plus 200 to make the top 10. So love Answer. I'm going to move on. Listen, I'm going with some chalk here early. I'm going to take Jordan Spieth, man. Wow. I really like Spieth here. Plus 1,100. I'm playing him to win at plus 1,100. I'm playing him top 20 at minus 137. Listen, Jordan Spieth, he let match play get away from him, which I'm okay because it's less rounds, right? So now looking back on it, okay, you know what I mean? And I think that just motivates him more. 4 top 10 finishes in his last 6 events. Listen, a little's been taken off the driving distance. Will that hurt him at this type of course? We're going to find out, but the driving accuracy is up 20% since Genesis. Greens and regulation up 22% since Genesis. So very hot lately. I think it's going to continue. I think you're going to see a very motivated Jordan Spieth. So I'm willing to play him at plus 1,100, minus 137 in the top 20. I thought he shot very well at match play. I went against him. I had Kuchar. I thought it was the right spot, ended up being the right side. But he was definitely, if he was getting through Kuchar, I think he would definitely be heavily favored to kind of take that the match play home. So I'm going to go with Spieth on my first outright. I have a couple others, but that's the chalk right there, Jordan Spieth. And I think in Texas, I think he can get it done.
Yeah, I like Spieth. I remember playing him 2 years ago, maybe 3 at this tournament. He gets his 36 hole to try and make the cut, puts one in the woods. Then he tries to chip out, and it's a par 5. Puts it back in the woods. And then he ended up bogeying the hole because he had a miraculous recovery there and tapped it in. But what I mean by that is I still think he's got that burned in his memory as I do. And it's one of those that he likes to play well in front of these guys. He's playing well. I think he's had 5 top 10s this year. So Drums, I'm with you. He's going to break through sometime. He really is. I was big on him last week. He's going to get there. Is it this week? We'll see. But definitely liking the odds on that, especially with the top guys out. I mean, you're adding value there.
I think he got thin field. I think he's playing well. He can get in there. Rick Lorenzen checking in.
All right.
He's going Griffin, Steele, Burns, Grace, Spieth, and Hadwin. Listen, I like a lot of those names. I mean, Steele's a guy that we talked about, Dave, offline. I think, this course can play very well for him. Burns is a guy that I heard, some people like him to pop at this course, kind of get back on track. Grace is another guy I've heard. So lots of good names there, Rick. Best of luck, man. I hope you take it home. Dave, let's get into it.
He took a little of my thunder, so I'm going to just tag on to that, right?
There you go. There you go.
I had 2 other winners. I always like to throw, a higher, mid, and low range guy out there. And one of my guys I was really eyeing up is Brendan Grace. And Brendan Grace for a few reasons. One, he won the Puerto Rico Open just a few weeks ago with very heavy winds. So you're taking a guy, he's coming from South Africa. He won the Puerto Rico Open that did have a windy condition. There is some also, if you look at some past winners, there's some semblance of playing well at Mayakoba, which is usually done in November, and Puerto Rico, and translating it to this course. Brendan Grace fits that bill, so I really do like Brendan Grace. He's a guy, he's kind of off the beaten path, but I mean, he's finished 9th and 10th in the last few years playing here. He's a guy that almost a horse for the course is the term they would like to use, and he's a sleeper, really nice sleeper. I like that pick. Drums, I think we're seeing him 85-1 in most places. I'll dial that in now, but love the Brendan Grace pick.
Yeah. Grace is a great pick. It's another name that I've heard a lot. So definitely could be a play.
He moved up
Mike,
to
what do you got for
55 to
yours?
1. 55.
55 to 1. Yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
55 to 1 I'm showing. And on Grace, and plus 1,000 for to make the top 5. So definitely good odds, plus 500 to make the top 10. So, even if you don't think he can take it home, play the top 5, play the top 10, make some money.
He's one of my favorite DFS picks too. I mean, I do think he's a good DFS play. I think he's at 7,600. Really nice value.
Yeah, definitely. Mike, you got anything else in the holster?
Yeah, I got another guy. Like Dave said, I like to take a favorite and then a middle guy and then a kind of a long shot. So my middle guy, I think, is a guy that plays pretty well. He's decent driving distance, ranks about 37th in driving distance. Greens and regulation is where he's 44th on tour, but his fairway accuracy is where he's going to need to improve. And that's Tony Finau. Tony Finau played in the WGC as well. He didn't make it all the way through, so he's got a little bit of rest in him. He's been playing well. I think this is a guy that could sneak up on you and jump in there in the top 5 and possibly win this tournament.
Yeah, love Finau, plus 1,100 right now. You can get on that. He's a guy who, I think obviously one of the favorites in here. I think he can definitely get it done. I'm going to go with my middle guy. And this is one that, I kind of struggled with, but I'm on board now. I think I like him. I'm going to take the shot. Siwoo Kim plus 2,800. I'm playing him to win outright, and I'm playing him top 20 at plus 188. And listen, he fell off after winning the American Express, right? But he turned things around at the Players, shot 8 under. 2019 held the lead for the first 3 rounds, and then screwed the pooch on Sunday with a par. But he's been very successful at this course, right? So he didn't bring it home. Maybe he learns from that. Maybe he doesn't, but he's had success at this course. And not only that, but he has a history of, repeat success in courses he performs well. So I think that's important when you look at the player is not only did they have success there before, but do they show consistency in the ability to repeat that success? We saw it with the Players, came in first in 2017, 9th this year, Wyndham, 2 top 5 finishes the last 2 years. So he can, when he finds a course that he likes, he's very consistent and is able to go to the top. So I expect him to do that here. Siwoo Kim plus 2,800, top 20 plus 188. I'm going to take a shot. I mean, it's I think that he's a guy who can pop on this course. It's a very light field, so I think that this is Siwoo Kim's chance to get revenge and to make the past right.
I like Siwoo. He's one of those guys that he's like all or nothing. He either misses the cut or he's playing.
We're going to know tomorrow. We're going to know tomorrow.
Early on.
Yeah,
it gives us a great opportunity to live bet.
Yeah, I like Siwoo. And he very similar. Just one of those guys. If he makes the cut, you got some live action. Hey, good point on Hal. Let me get to you in a second on that. Hal's one of those consistent players that has some history here. But my mid-range guy, I've already given you a longer range with Grace, a top range with Palmer for me at plus 2,500. I'm going with Cam Davis at 4,100. Now, the Cam is a guy that is a young guy, American, that can hit the ball a country mile. He's a lanky, tall player, really solid. He's 52nd in par 5 scoring. He's 22nd in birdie or better conversion percentage, which is actually a big stat here too as well. So he's had some very key stats that fit this course. Recently at the Honda, he finished 33rd. He did miss it at the Players in Arnold Palmer, but you go back to the American Express earlier this year, and he was 3rd. It's a guy that has some form coming in, and it's a weaker field, like we said. But I'm taking a chance on a bomber that has some key stats that really fit this course. So Cam Davis at plus 4,100 is my mid-range throw. And I'll get back to Hal after you guys wrap it up.
All right, killer Cam, man. I love it. Mikey, how about you give us your third?
My third, I'm going to go with a dark horse only because you really haven't heard much from him this year. I'm going to go with Charlie Hoffman. Charlie Hoffman's a guy that, he always shows up. Always shows up at Augusta. and this is his warm up for Augusta. He usually plays well the week before, and then carries it into the Masters. So Charlie Hoffman's my dark horse or my low pick. Again, you haven't heard much from him, but he drives the ball. He hits some greens. He's 42nd in greens in regulation. So he's got the ability, and he could be a guy that sneaks up on you, makes the cut, and then makes a charge on Saturday and Sunday.
Love it. That's another guy I heard a lot about, Charlie Huffman. I mean, definitely can get it done. Listen, man, I'm going to go with a favorite here for my long shot, and I had to do it, and I think it makes a ton of sense. Dave, tell me if you're with me. I'm going with our boy Harry Higgs plus 8,000, top 40 plus 125. Good old boy from Texas. I mean, how do you not root for this guy? Buttons are undone. He's ready to go. He was under 3, under 4 at the Players in the Honda, finished 19th and 29th, top 3, tee to green at the Honda. Listen, you gotta pour yourself a drink when he putts, right? We all know that. You gotta pour yourself 3 fingers when Harry putts. But listen, I love his game. I think he could be a lot of fun at this course with these part 5s. He's going to let them rip. And getting them top 40 here plus 125, I think makes a ton of sense. Is he live at plus 8,000? I think this is another golfer. I'm going to find out tomorrow with this guy if he's going to be live at plus 8,000. But maybe he gets it done. But he's a lot of fun. Love Harry Higgs. I'm playing him this week plus 8,000.
How can you not like Harry Higgs?
He's the best, dude. He really is the best, man.
You're rolling
He's out there, shirt all unbuttoned. He's going to take it home. Harry Higgs.
Like,
I think he played. Didn't he play football with Bryson at SMU or something?
I'm not sure about that.
They went to SMU. I'm not sure if they played football. Oh, man, if anyone out there knows, help me out. But I know that they went to SMU together.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that
they look like they shotgun some beers.
Yeah, he's a party, and any week I don't want to say he's another one like Siwoo because he doesn't show up to the top 10 as often, but he's got those weeks when he just gets dialed in. Really good iron player, good on the greens. But Harry, it's not like he has everything working all at once, but when he does, he threatens for the lead and he threatens for titles. I mean, he played well at the Players. Didn't you have him there? Or we were watching?
No, I didn't. I got off him, and it cost me. I wanted to get him, and then I didn't pull the trigger at the last minute, and then I was like, oh, Harry Higgs, man, I should have played him.
Yeah.
But listen, he stung me there. But listen, top 40 plus 125, man, I'll take it. Harry Higgs is shoo-in for top 40 if you ask me.
I like it. So I want to get back to this Charles Howell, and the thing that was giving me, and I was looking at Charles, and I mean I think he finished 9th at the Players, and then went out last week and played at the what was that? It was down in Punta Cana, wherever that course was that Joel Dahman won at. But again, another windy course. A new event on the PGA Tour, and we're trying to see how you get some relative, play from these island courses, how you bring it to Texas, a very wide open place that again spurns a lot of wind. So he was 28th last week, 9th at the Players before that. Had it earlier at the Sony, I think he was 19th. He's a guy that, would line up similar to Zach Johnson, Mike. He's a guy that's not going to strike the ball really long, but he's going to be consistent, has a very good approach game. He's good on the greens. So the key to him this week is driving. If that guy can get the ball going and put himself in good spots, I like him for a top 20 potentially. Not sure I can play him for a win. He just hasn't won on the PGA Tour in forever, it feels like. But man, I'm a big Charles Howell fan.
Love it. Hopefully,
he's played well this year. He just hasn't. The T9 at the Players was a fantastic Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, Charles Howell III has us like Thurston Howell III, but making that money. So hopefully he's a winner.
I mean, so far this year, his worst stat is his approach. So I mean, if he can dial that in, because we know he's a good iron player, he's got a chance.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Now, I do have one more long shot outright that we'll get into.
Throw it out there.
Mike, do you have any? Well, I'll throw it out there now. Yeah. I actually took, 125 to 1. I took Graham McDowell And
Really?
it's
Okay.
very interesting. Yeah, I did take Graham. I actually have him in the 3-ball as well. I might as well give that one out as well with Aaron Wise and DA points, and it's plus 150. I like Graham McDowell, and I'm going to tell you why. Don't have, listen, winning, obviously, this is a huge long shot, but I think it's worth firing on because he's very streaky. Like when I looked at it, he had a 4-event stretch last year where he was top 25, with two top fives baked in, and 4 events, very consistent, right? And I think that like when he gets hot and he's shooting well, that continues. That's something that he's not erratic. Like he kind of finds his groove, and then he goes on a run. Finished tied for 7th in 2019 here in Texas. Shot 6 under in his final round. So he caught fire last week in Punta Cana, finished 4th. So I think, listen, tiny splash, don't go crazy. I think it's worth a stab. It seems like he's getting hot at just the right time, and this could be a spot he could sneak up on people.
Okay. Graham McDowell, he's a guy I gotta remember. He played some really good golf for stretches at the middle of last year, and then back and forth. So maybe you're catching on to him at the right time, and that number is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, he'll if he's not hot, if you don't carry it over, he's just gonna be cut. You know what I mean? Like he'll be a disaster. But I'm gonna take the shot. I mean, listen, it's a long shot, tiny splash. Don't go crazy. But we're gonna be rooting for GMAC for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do you guys have any other outrights, or do we want to move on to matchups?
No, you can keep me at those 3 for now.
All right, perfect. What do you got as far as matchups are concerned? I have 2 3-balls. I had the one I just gave you. I have another one. But you can fire off first if you have anything. If not, I can fire. No big deal.
Mike, you got anything? Because I'm dialing in mine.
Oh, look at that.
I'm gonna follow you, boys.
All right, perfect. So I'll give my other one. Dave, and you can go. That way I'll wrap up. The other 3-ball I have, I gave you Graham McDowell with Aaron Wise, DA points plus 150. We're going to play Graham McDowell there. The other one is Siwoo Kim, right? So I'm expecting a hot start here out of Siwoo because he's had success at this course in the past. I have him paired up with Lando Griffin and Long, and he's plus 140. So I'm pretty much taking my spot. I don't think Long's going to be a problem. I think it's going to come down to Griffin if he can outduel him. This is first round only. We're going to know tomorrow. So I got him at Siwoo Kim at plus 140. I'm happy. I think that's a good price. So I'm definitely excited to play that one.
Awesome. I got one that I'm really excited to play. I was just trying to look up I know he played pretty well last week at the match. But I'm going to go over to best finisher for a European. And for me, I'm looking at Bernd Wiesberger. Had a pretty good week last week at the match play. Didn't get through the round, but into the final 16, he tied 42nd overall. He was 31st at the Arnold Palmer Invitational earlier this year. Really a guy that he's playing for Ryder Cup status. He's on the fringe of Ryder Cup. It has a lot of points on the European Tour. Looking at it now, you can get him as plus 900 as the best European. He just has to beat out guys like Henrik Norlander, Russell Knox, Sepp Straka, Matt Wallace, who played all right out there, Danny Willett, who played well down in Punta Cana. But give me some German love here. Some Wiesberger, plus 900, highest European finishing this week. Got some Ryder Cup love he's trying to play for.
I love it. That's a great angle, man. Just playing the Europeans, it's a huge number there. I think there could be a lot of value there. You got Graham
McDowell plus 1,100. Like he's right there in that range too. Those guys, they're the fighters. I want to take the guys, the underdogs this week, the guys that got to play for something.
They're going to be motivated, right? Motivation is key in this spot. Hey, can they qualify for what's upcoming? All very important points, all very valid. But that's what I got for the match play, for the actual matchups this week. Don't have anything else. Have those 2. Anything else on the card that you're playing, Dave?
Yeah, well, I'm going to play a little action tomorrow. The one I'm looking at is Keegan Bradley minus 170 versus Andrew Landry. Keegan's another guy, a guy that may not be the horse for the course per se, but does have a lot of the stats that fit what this course, requires you to have. Keegan's been playing well. We had him over at the Honda. had a really solid tournament over there. Coming into this, I think Keegan Bradley has a shot to finish top 10 overall. He's a guy, he's not all the way back there yet to the PGA Championship winning days he had when he won up in Whistling Straits, but he's a guy that's consistently playing a lot better. I'm going to take him tomorrow versus Andrew Landry in a matchup 170.
Yeah, I like it. I love Bradley. And, you brought up Strokes-Gains approach, right? And Strokes-Gains approach green, he's top 6, man, on the year. So
he's the best in this field.
Yeah, he's incredible there. So that could see it play out. I was definitely looking at him. I mean, I was actually looking at him at the outrights, and then I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, sometimes he has a hard time getting to the finish line, and I was like, do I want to play him maybe top 10, top 20? It's probably going to be a live bet with me. If he comes out hot tomorrow, I'm going to have a Bradley ticket in my pocket for sure. I'm going to fire up the app immediately and smash Bradley.
Yeah, and it's that putter for me with him, and it was like a little bit with Adam Scott. These guys that used to pin it on their chest, Mike, you remember them, the sweepers. And once they took that rule away, and it really hurt Webb Simpson for a while, but he's probably the one that has adjusted the best since. But Keegan, it's the putter. If he can just get that thing rolling, he just doesn't do it for 4 days. You're right.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's hard. I feel like he's right on the cusp, though. Like, he's right there. He's just got to refine a couple things, a little more consistency, throughout the weekend, and he can. I mean, he can be a player for sure, man. He could be especially, a course like this right before the Masters, an event like this. This could be where he just gets dialed in and says, "This is my opportunity. I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to, bring one home." So I'm definitely going to have an eye on Bradley for sure. Before we wrap up, Dave, let's talk fantasy a little bit, right? A lot of people, golf fantasy is getting huge. They got to fill out their lineups, right? So it's not about, the groceries you're buying. It's about the meal you make. And, with these fantasy lineups. So we talked about the outrights. We talked about the matchups. Do you have any players that you think might be good value as far as these fantasy lineups are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to build some of mine around a lineups without Finau and Spieth actually this week. As much as I might play them with you to win and take those 1,100-1,200 angles, and that's fine. I think a better lineup construction this week is around your 9,000 to 7,000 range. I don't want to dip too low in the sixes, but I do have some. When looking at it here, I looked at a guy. And, I love Answer. We talked about 9,700, like Palmer at 94. Actually, Cameron Tringali at 9,300, another long hitter. I do like. When I dip down to the lower ranges, I was looking at guys like, you might laugh at me, but Doug Gim. I actually
the Gim Reaper
had a little comeback. He's had some time to let the egg fry a little bit. You know what I mean? So 7,300, another good range was Grayson the 7,000 at 7,800, Wiesberger at 72. I actually like Joel Dahman in the 8,000 range. Coming off a win last week, I think he's got, he's a fun player too to watch. And I enjoy watching him play. I think you got some good value, 8,200. And then the 6,000 range, there's Grayson Sigg at 6,800 intrigues me. Guy that's been making a lot of cuts coming off the Sanderson Tour. Also, very low guy that I always try and play, but he's always injured. The guy from the trick shots and videos, he's got the Bryan brothers. It's Wesley Bryan, 6,300. He's made 5 out of 10 cuts this year, but he's a guy. Again, you can get him in the 6,000. I've got him in the low 6,000s before, and he's finished top 10. So he's an all or nothing, and that's what you want when you're kind of getting a guy that low. You don't need a guy just scrape the cut. You want him to make the top 20.
You want to catch lightning in a bottle,
Yes.
And that's really what's going to strengthen your lineup.
Yeah, so those are kind of the where I'm constructing my lineups around, and I'll probably fill in a few others here and there. But those guys in the 9, 8, 7, and even some 6,000 range, you can build some really solid lineups there. Again, you can go with the heavy approach. I just feel like I'm saving that for the Masters.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Great advice, man. Listen, fantasy daily. Put those fantasy lineups.
Mike, did you have anything to add?
No, well, I mean, I'm just that, my wrap up basically was going to be, if you got a couple of bucks and you want to throw something on somebody that's got something to prove, Ricky's out there.
Yeah.
This is his last chance. I don't know that he's going to be able to, hold it together for 4 rounds.
So let's talk about that. What would be your best play with Ricky? Would you look at something like to make the cut? I think he's minus 200 there. Would you look at something top 40?
Yeah, I mean, I think something like that would be worth the gamble, pun intended. But I think he's going to make the cut. I think he's got enough fight in him. I think the comments, that he's hearing, are going to light a fire for him, and it's his last shot. I mean, he's played in 41 straight majors, and this could be his falling of grace, so to speak, if he doesn't make this one. And it's important for him to at least have a good showing this weekend, and I think you'll get that from him for at least 2 to 3 rounds. So yeah, I mean, a top 40 finish wouldn't be a bad bet with a Ricky Fowler, and I might throw a couple bucks on that.
Yeah, I think you can get that around plus 100. I'm looking at him. Didn't he finished here in like the top 10 in 19, I'm pretty sure, too. I think he was 7th. So it's a guy that has a little history here, too. A guy that actually has played well in the win. He's from Oklahoma State, so he's familiar with this area. I want to love Ricky. I do.
Yeah, and he's got fight in him. He does. He does play hard. He's gonna go out and fight for a spot. I don't think he wants to, kind of go off into the sunset with the way things have been going lately for him. So I think he's going to fight to try and fight his way into the top 10 if he can.
He's got to stop getting married.
Girls will do it to you, man.
Definitely. So, Dave, you brought up a great point. So, when we look at this miss the cut thing, we talked a little bit about, hey, fading some of the people from match play, right, that went far. Like, are they just going to, if they don't start well, like, that's really, I think, what you need to look at. Like, if they don't start well, and they have the Masters to look forward to, are they just going to tap out of this thing? And when we look at the miss cut, like, if they have a bad day one, are they just going to go out and fire away and kind of sabotage themselves in day two to get, be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to hit the showers. I'm going to get some rest for the Masters, and I'm going to be ready to go. And after the Masters, no one's going to remember this anyway. So we've seen it happen, 1,000 times before. Who would we target as far as that? Like, you look at, Scheffler, to miss the cut, plus 300. Do you think that's a viable option?
It actually is. But it's
a good number. I mean,
but he's so young, and he's, like Mike pointed out earlier, that
and it's Texas,
kind of like pull you through into Texas. I wouldn't go that way. I'd look at a guy like Matsuyama, maybe. The wind can just really do some things with you there. Hideki hasn't been playing the greatest ball. Was really disappointed in his match play performance.
Oh, he was awful, wasn't he?
Is that what he did on his third round when it didn't mean anything? He smoked somebody. I forget who it was. Somebody good, but it didn't mean anything. But he's a guy that has played pretty good at the Masters. He could be a guy that packs. After the first round, just like, yo, deuces, like, I'm going to go over to Dustin.
I'm out of here. Listen, the guy that we saw melt down a little bit, Lanto Griffin, miss the cut, 164 plus 164. What do you think about that?
It scares me because these guys, if we've seen all year, it's been one of those, bad week, good week kind of deals, and maybe Lancer's bad week just came at the wrong time, and he could just dial himself back in here. I mean, Brooks Koepka missed 2 cuts, comes back, wins the Phoenix Open down in Scottsdale. JT wasn't playing all that hot when he came back and won the Players, so it's I would not doubt Lanto to actually play well this week.
Any shot with Kuchar? We talked about him prior. We talked about him prior, and him wearing down as the tournament went on. Could he be headed for an early exit? I'm looking at his number, plus 175 to miss the cut. Do we think any value is there with Kuchar?
Yes, some value. Again, his stats here don't really fit well to this course. And a lot of rounds, 7 rounds last week. He's a very good player at the Masters, so he's probably already looking ahead. There's value there. If you're asking me between Kuchar and Sheff, I would put money on Kuchar to miss the cut.
Yeah, probably that's probably a better play, Kuchar at the 175 than Sheff at the plus 300. But man, that 300 is juicy.
It is juicy. It is.
I love me some plus 300. I'm not going to play it, but man, it's tempting. It is a big number right there. What about you, Mike? You follow the same sentiments that we just went over, or any comment on that?
No, yeah, I follow it, and I mean, just looking at your juicy number with Kuchar, I just think with the watered down field, I don't see how he misses this cut.
Yeah. Been playing too well lately.
Yeah,
I agree.
Ricky's plus 110 for the top 40. Yeah, I was saying 100. It's not a bad value, Mike. Let me ask you guys about one other guy that just keeps catching my eye, but we just can't do it. And he was in the featured group over there at the Honda, and that's Phil Mickelson. Him showing up down here. He's just trying to get some tournaments in, but he's outside the top 100 now. He's the guy that's fighting for FedEx Cup points. I think that's why he's in this, to try and get in that 125, stay in that 125. Look, value for him, he's plus 150 for a top 40 performance. Can Phil got any hope with Phil? I don't know, man.
I can't do it.
No, I can't do it either. I don't know about Phil. I think he's just trying to get some swings in here before getting to Augusta.
Yeah, I think you guys might be right. He's another one like Ricky, Mike. I want to bet Phil. I do. I'm a Phil guy, man.
I'm rooting for him, but
yeah.
I don't know how much he's got left in the tank.
Rooting don't put money in your pocket.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what you got to worry about, man. Is that really where you want to put your money on Phil Mickelson? But listen, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're running up on 45 minutes. Awesome job today, guys. I can't wait to wake up tomorrow, put the TV on, fire away. Hopefully I can win these round 1 3 balls that I got cooked up. But it's going to be a ton of fun. And listen, everybody listening, make sure, again, go over to YouTube, subscribe to Heat Ratio Sports, hit the notifications. That way you get notified every time we come on. We do the Wednesday night golf betting show. We do Saturday morning. We do college sports. We've been hammering March Madness, college football. And then we give plays out on every sport on Saturday. So we give our 3 best plays to go across all sports. So make sure you subscribe, Heat Ratio Sports Network YouTube channel, and you will automatically get entered for the Yingling prize pack. We're going to do a raffle there. We got some prize packs to give away. Very awesome. Aaron Nola, is working with Yingling to do some promotional stuff, and we get these prize packs. They're tremendous. Check them out. Make sure you follow Heat Ratio Sports on all platforms. Dave, do you have any parting thoughts and one last gem for the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, hey, great stuff on the Aaron Nola Yingling promotion. Look, opening days tomorrow. You got to be excited. Phillies, a little bit of promise in the air, but I mean, it's always great. Opening day brings that. Everybody's got a chance. We're 0-0. Never know what's going to happen. And to beat the Braves, that would be awesome. But yeah, if you want me to throw you a last parting shot, there are a few names out there that we're still eyeing up, and we're still going to try and spread some money on. And I mentioned him earlier. But keep an eye on Cameron Tringali this week. He's also at 2,500 with Ryan Palmer. Again, a long hitter, a guy that has performed well, is up in the top stats this year. We can dial them in later. But another little long shot to keep an eye on this weekend. Excited for this round, like you said. Got a lot of action in there. Can't wait for some good golf this weekend, and then pair it off with some Final Four.
Absolutely, Mike. Thanks a million for joining us. We got to do this again. This is a ton of fun.
Yeah, guys, appreciate you having me on. It's been a lot of fun. Got my eyes open to golf again with your show, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, the text thread's going to be firing nice and early tomorrow, so make sure you get some sleep, because I'm going to be hammering out these plays at like 8 in the morning when I get up. I can't wait, man. These guys are going to tee off tomorrow. It's gonna be a great weekend. It's going to be an awesome weekend to wake up, watch some golf, and put some money in our account. And that's really what it's all about. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will be back next Wednesday for we're going to talk Masters. It doesn't get any better than that. So make sure
you got to come back.
Just the music alone.
Come back for the Masters, Mikey. Come back for the Masters. Mikey. We'll be doing it again Wednesday night.
This is my Valero.
There you go. Your little warm up. Perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
You'll qualify.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Check us out Saturday morning. Betting for breakfast. We'll be back again Wednesday night. Heat Ratio Net.